everybody. Today I thought I would do something different, a little bit different anyways. As you guys know, might know, I'm a graphic designer, graphic and web designer. I do a lot of, I work for a company, a car dealership company that takes care of 26, 27, something like that. I don't even, like, I stopped counting. There's so many. There's actually a new one that got acquired recently, like within the last month. So there's been a new one that's been added to the whole slew of car dealerships that we take care of. I take care of the graphic side of the web uh, ecosystem, I guess you could say. So I take care of web banners. I take care of the website imagery. So let's say like the sliders at the tops of pages. I take care of making because we get the car manufacturers. So let's say like Audi Canada, Hyundai Canada, Mazda Canada, all of those manufacturers which are basically the starting zone, the starting point of our promotional material, of a promotional cycle, I could say. So I take in all of their like the posters that they design, that their designers design. So I take those and I basically transform into sliders, into smaller posters, because basically they provide us with usually either PDFs or like finished PDFs that you can sometimes extract well, sometimes not. And by extract I mean like you can open it up in Illustrator and like pick and because sometimes the way that that designs are made is sometimes they're designed in like InDesign, and if you open up the PDF, you'll be in Illustrator, you'll be able to extract like individual elements of the design. So let's say you have text, you'll be able to extract just the text. Let's say you have like a background image, you'll be able to extract the background image by itself. Let's say in InDesign they add like a transparent background car image, so like a car without background, so they add that into InDesign. When I open it up in PDF format, I'll be able to just extract that car with transparent background. I'll be able to extract that. So sometimes they provide us with just the PDF. Sometimes it's basically like I said, you'll be able to extract the individual elements of the design, and sometimes not. So, for example, who's the one that doesn't? I think it's Acura. So, Acura Canada, they provide us with a PDF, but it's basically been, I think it's been designed in probably Photoshop. So, you're not able to extract the individual elements of the design, of the final design. So, for Acura, I'm not able to like extract elements and reformat into different sizes. So in that case, I'll have to sort of try to emulate the final design that they have. Sorry, that's a long description, but basically, like I do website imagery, so I'll do like I'll resize the posters into JPEGs. So if like I can open up the PDF in Photoshop and like open it up in full size, and then I'll just like resize it to like 1140 with pixels width size for our website, um, so that it's not a huge fucking image that takes forever to load. That's why. And so we create posters, we create sliders for the main page, the home page, and I do thumbnails and I do Facebook images. So I do that for our websites, and then on top of that, I do web banners for advertising on other websites. So you know those web banners that people really hate. I do that. That's great. What else do? I do like a lot of social media management. So sometimes if I'll find an interesting article, I'll link to it on Facebook. Um, I think in the future they have plans to add Twitter, and some of our dealerships have Instagram, but I don't have access to that. There's an outside company that does. So, because Instagram is kind of a weird a weird horse because it's all connected to like a one phone number. So, and on top of that, for one phone number, you can only have three accounts, three Instagram accounts. So, anyways, it's a completely different horse. So I don't take care of that. I mean, I have my own personal Instagram, but I don't take care of our company's Instagram accounts, which are there's only two or three, I think. So I don't take care of that. But anywho, so today I thought I would do like a little bit of an insight into my creative designer job. So what I do at work a little bit. So today I thought I would show you like an article that I wrote about Tumult Hype. Hype is a well, here's an image here that I have pulled up from an article that I wrote on Medium. So if you want to follow me on Medium, you're welcome to do so. I am Alexina Piment. And so Hype is a sort of Flash. So if anybody's ever played in Flash back in the day, well, I mean, I think there's still a Flash. No, actually, I think it's called Animate now. It's sort of a Flash. But anyway, so Hype is a sort of Flash emulator. Not emulator, but it creates stuff that Flash would have been able to do back in the day. But Flash is a dying format because the truth about Flash is you can't index it. And so in that way you can't your SEO, your search engine optimization, if your entire website is a Flash website, your website will not be indexed on Google, for example, and your content, your articles, your images, whatever is in your Flash content will not be indexed. So companies have been moving away, very far away from Flash, and as such, a lot of media companies are requesting HTML5 instead. HTML5 is a advanced HTML language that sort of more and more is emulating what Flash used to do. So Hype is a program that lets you emulate stuff that you would have been able to do in Flash, but on a sort of lesser level, because the animations are not quite as advanced as Flash used to be, but it's very browser friendly. It's very mobile friendly as well. So, anyways, I wrote an article a couple of like last year actually, but I actually posted this article on Medium like a few weeks ago, and so I thought I would read it for you guys and like tell you what Hype is all about. Um, so if you search on Google for Tumult Hype, blah, 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 here, Hype 3. This is the program I'm talking about. Tumult Hype's keyframe-based animation system, which is very much like Flash, brings you your content to life. Click record and Tumult Hype watches your every move, automatically creating keyframes as needed. I haven't really used the record bit, but I create my keyframes and I do my animations myself. Or, as they say, if you prefer to be more hands-on, manually add, remove, and rearrange keyframes to fine-tune your content. It's easy to create natural curves by clicking and dragging on an element's motion path to add Bezier control points. So, I'm sure I'm sure it doesn't make sense for everybody, but I'm gonna try to make it idiot friendly. And I'm not calling you an idiot. I'm just saying, I'm trying to explain what Hype is all about. So, the article, and this is like an introduction. This is a project that I did, like personal project that I did at work. Personal. It was a sort of personal, but it was kind of an assignment by my boss. So it's kind of personal, but kind of like requested by my boss. So yes, it was a project that I did, and you can see like these are the controls. This is the timeline that you have to play with, and these are your elements, and these are your stop points, and within these bars is where you put your animations, where you decide, okay, so I want my element to move left or right or up or down, or I want it to fade, or I want it to change colors, stuff like that. So anyways, I'm going to start reading. I'm going to start being a little bit more concise, I guess. Um, as someone who has always despised Flash and its overcomplicated gimmicks, I found myself enjoying Tumult's Mac-only HTML5 WYSIWYG web and animation software, Hype, when I was rather unceremoniously introduced to it a few weeks into one of my jobs. What does this mean? So basically, Tumult Hype is Mac only. So if you use a PC, you will not be able to use this program, which sucks. HTML5, like I said, it's a coding language for the web, and WYSIWYG, if you don't know what this means, years after everybody started talking about it, it basically means what you see is what you get. So web and animation software. Da, 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 da. So this was the winter of 2015, and our clients wanted an animated ad put into La Presse Plus. La Presse Plus is Quebec's leading. It's basically a online newspaper. It's a French newspaper too, and it's basically an app that you download, and the paper is put into this app. As I explained, Quebec's leading pioneer in rich format news. They needed an ad done for yesterday, and La Presse Plus deals with hand-coded or hype documents only. So if you try to use anything that's been created like with Adobe Muse or Adobe Animate, which basically creates like Flash documents, they will not accept those documents. They only accept either something that you hand coded, so like painstakingly hand coded by yourself, searching for scripts online or whatever. They will not accept it. They will accept the stuff that you make yourself or hyped with. So something like this. Considering their very high standards and many restrictions, my coworker that had previously done work for them recommended that I learn how to use Hype because it would speed up my workflow much more than delving into hand coding, which, admittedly, I hadn't done in a long, long time. And that means basically, I hadn't coded since basically 6 months at least, because I was between jobs for 6 months, and the 6 months before that, I had been working for like basically with Dreamweaver, coding emails, and then before that, before those 3 months, I was in Korea for 2 years, and then before that, I worked in a newspaper company just doing graphic design, so there was no web element at all. So basically, it had been a few years, at least 3 years, I'd say. It had been at least 3 years since I'd looked at, no, actually 5 years since I'd been working with like hand coding or coding in general. Um, because the last coding, the last hard coding that I did was in school. So it had been a long, long time. Anyway, clients needed ad. I had no time to waste. I faffed so hard. Some people don't understand what faff it means. It's a British term that means like you're procrastinating, kind of. So I faffed so hard at getting the hang of the software, but in the end, I got it done within a reasonable time frame. I suppose the moral of the story is that never say you can't do something because you don't know how. Yeah, I was basically thrown into this. Doesn't mean I appreciated being thrown off the deep end, as I just said, but it happened and it worked and I'm still alive. I guess that's something good, right? There's been a reasonable amount of hype around hype. Get it? Get it? And quite a good bit of talk about it too since its release in mid 2011. So this basically was released in 2011. I guess the Tumult Hype 1.0, you know. Um Developed by a pair of ex-Apple engineers. Can we see the picture? About us? Maybe? Are there pictures? Yeah. So developed by these guys. A pair of ex-Apple engineers. The software currently only runs on Macs, I guess because they were ex-Apple engineers, and creates beautiful HTML5 web content, according to them. It's a quote from them, that requires no prior knowledge of coding or animating techniques. Like they say, like they say on their front page, you can just click record, sorry. You can just click record and it'll basically record whatever you want it to do. So you don't even need coding or animating knowledge. It'll just do what you're doing live. Perhaps that is why it is often used by users frustrated with Dreamweaver or other WYSIWYG editors to create fully functional websites. So yeah, there are quite a bit of people that are actually using. Is there a gallery with like website stuff? Um, Infographics, web design. Yeah, so I've seen quite a few people using Hype to basically create websites. All right, gonna work? Solar. So basically, this entire page would have been designed in Hype, which I kind of disagree with. So yeah, it's a pretty simple website. It shows you the solar system, whatever. But there's a lot of people that are using Hype to create entire like complex websites. I don't know if there would be like another example that or yeah, this is probably entirely done in Hype. Possibly this too. Like the entire website would have been designed in Hype, which I kind of disagree with, but that's a whole other story. What the fuck was that sound? um, the question is, does this application deliver or does it get too much hype for what it offers? Tumult Hype, a worthy Flash alternative? These are the days where Flash is dead. If you've been living under a rock for the past God knows how long, you won't know that Flash has been, over its long reign, the tool of choice for creating everything from animated banner ads to flashy, get it, interactive websites. It was the tool designers turned to for all animated content on the web. And why not? There wasn't a tool out there that had its versatility, its range of animations, its flexibility, etc. It was easy to learn. Everyone and their neighbor had the Flash browser plugin installed on their browsers, and it was pretty powerful. You could do anything with it. It ruled king. Until recently, businesses wanted their websites ranking high on Google and other search engines. Flash content, no matter how cool and snazzy, cannot be archived. Bottom line, zip, nada. Google sees nothing. Your logo is invisible, your address is a ghost, your entire, well, no, not a ghost, but it's basically not going to show, it's not going to rank high. Your entire business might as well not exist. And not only that, but let's say you have a fully responsive HTML CSS website, but use some cool looking flash buttons for your call to actions. Well, not one single mobile user would see that button. In other words, what you're trying to sell won't show up. And don't even mention iOS. Apple refuses to support Flash anymore, claiming rightfully so that Flash uses up far too much bandwidth anyway. For people who want to keep their mobile data stats low, Flash is a mediocre player. In step CSS3 and HTML5. It's only recently that CSS3 has reached a stage of overall support across all major browsers. That's true. What this means is that anything you code with CSS3 will be seen and work on iOS devices such as the iPhone and iPad. And Android as well. Practicality aside, this technically means that CSS3 brings in the possibility of animating elements individually using code that all web developers already know. With some people who know CSS, basically. Web developers already know it, basically means they already know CSS. So if they know CSS, they'll be able to code using CSS3. It makes sense. With some new syntax, but it's not that much different, and besides, it makes more sense than the old syntax. Hooray! Hype's entry into the foray. The main problem with the use of CSS3 and HTML5 is that to achieve the animation you want, however, you need to write a lot of code, even for the simplest animation. So I have a link here. I don't remember what it shows. Yeah, so basically if you want to create a very basic animation, like this is not even shut up. This is not even an animation. This is a line. So to create this line, you have to like create your basic shape. You're going to have to like know math basically. It's kind of crazy. You're going to have to like learn how to draw mathematically, and most people don't know. I don't. Like, hello, very basic not drawing, but it's complex as fuck, as you can see. Anywho, the other one is that if you're a visual person, all of this code won't make a lick of sense to you. For example, let's say you want to make that drawing I linked, this one, right? So just like a line. Hello. So this line, right? You have to know this math. Crazy. In real life, you would grab a pen and paper and draw that straight line. In code, however, you have to figure out where point A, let's say this is point A and B, right? So you have to know where point A is and where point B is. Remember math class with X and Y diagrams? Yeah, who said math was useful after high school, right? This is where Hype steps in to make everything a lot more honky-dory. Hype is, at its core, a WYSIWYG front-end editor, allowing users to create animations without worrying about the technicalities such as what I just mentioned, like math. It takes away that barrier and that keeps most people away from web animation. With Hype, you don't have to write a line of code. Well, unless you want to. You're basically designing on the canvas. You don't have to think about the code itself. Hype has the advantage. So basically, this is a blank Hype document. You start with this, and you can edit the size of the document. You can edit your timeline, your elements here. Your elements are added from this button, basically. It's very simple. Hype has the advantage for those who have worked with Flash before that it's similar enough that the transition to Hype will not be so foreign and awkward. Like, yes, you know, the starting doc, like the software itself looks different, but it will feel very foreign at first, but it kind of it gets to the point where you're like, oh yeah, this is where this goes. This is where the animation is. This like basically your timeline and your elements stuff is basically the same. It looks different, but it's the same. And then this is your scenes, and then these are your properties. So it's similar enough, but kind of different as well. The palettes and toolbars look different and are in different places, but in essence, it will be vaguely familiar for them. You drag elements to the stage, that white rectangle on top, this, and animate their properties. The timelines at the bottom, properties on the left, timeline on the right. Create scenes just like a book. Presto! You can have yourself an HTML5 animation, a video, or a GIF, whatever. For a little more information on how to use Hype, check out Tumult's tutorials. So from this website, you can get tutorials somewhere. Tutorials! Basically type this link, tumult.com/hype/tutorials. Yeah. Where was I? They helped me a great deal during those hard early days with a deadline looming over my head and no idea what I was doing. As someone who hates writing JavaScript or complex CSS3, Hype is a godsend. Well, yeah, so I have an image that shows you the HTML that Hype spits out. So, you know, the HTML is fairly understandable. Sure, there's a shit ton of script that I would not have been able to like personally. I don't deal with JavaScript. I don't know how to write JavaScript like hand code like a god, you know? I don't know that. But, you know, layers, I understand divs, I understand links, I understand styles. I understand the bit on top here that is barely there, but you know, I understand this. I understand this stuff, like the actual front end stuff. And then this is the JavaScript that it spits out. So your .js file will spit out this beautiful fucking mess. And I'm actually viewing this, you know, this is an image of me viewing the code from Dreamweaver. So colors help, I'm sure, but for me, it's fucking Chinese. I'm sorry for Chinese people. I did not mean that as an insult. It's just, you know, if it feels like Chinese to me. And this is from somebody who actually learned a bit of Korean. Anyways, so the cons. Hype is only available for the niche Mac market. Well, you know, most designers these days work on Macs, and this is basically a graphic that shows you Is Mac or PC better for graphic designers? And, there's arguments that PC is better, is okay, and arguments that Mac is better. I don't care. Like, I work on a Mac at work because that's what they give me. I will give you the argument that working on a Mac is slightly better because you're able to preview documents full size just by pressing spacebar. I like that. That's pretty much the only like big plus that I can see between PC and Mac, you know. But the majority of the world does not work on Macs. I, in fact, lived 2 years in a country, and by the way, I have a PC at home. Like I work on a PC on my freelance projects. So I in fact lived for 2 years in a country, Korea, South Korea, that is dominated by the world of PCs and prehistoric versions of Internet Explorer. What is that? I don't remember this. Yeah, so South Koreans are stuck with Internet Explorer thanks to an outdated security law. So basically, your banking is done on a version of Internet Explorer that's not even supported anymore. Think about it. Think about the security issues that go hand in hand with an unsupported browser, meaning that, if there's viruses or whatever, like Microsoft, the mother company of Internet Explorer, they're just like, well, you should have updated. So basically, South Korea, if you're infected or whatever, they're just like, well, it's your fault. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so the schools I worked at were stuck on IE6 due to the banking and e-commerce systems being so, well, prehistoric. Um, I actually downloaded Chrome on my school computer. Like, it was that or fucking punch a hole through my screen. I fucking hate Internet Explorer. I'm sorry. But I digress. If Johnny Doughboy, who uses a PC, decides one day he'd like to make the world a better place by making his animations actually show up on all devices possible, although he doesn't have the dough, get it, to outright buy Adobe Edge or another paid animating software of the likes, he'll be shit out of luck because Google Web Designer has a steep learning curve. I tried it, okay? I hated it. And Tumult Hype won't work on his PC. It might even decide the file extension is a virus. As well, if you're coming from Flash, where animations were aplenty and it's forte, you'll be sorely underwhelmed. Like, Flash, if I remember correctly, you had all kinds of animations that you could add to your document. So, like, bounce or, like, uh, twirl or stuff like that. You will be sorely underwhelmed. Hype offers only very linear animations. Like, what does it show? What is this? What is this page? Bottom. Oh. Yeah, so I guess it's basically like this is your animation. You're basically moving this object from here to here. That's the reality of Hype. It's very linear animations and transitions. Your transitions are basically like, um, hang on, I'll show you. Yes, transitions, right? Where are the scene transitions here? Yeah, so basically you've got instant. So kind of like this, where your file is basically changed instantly. Then you've got push, which is like this. Push bottom to top, whatever. And you've got swap. That's it. You've got push. Oh, crossfade. Crossfade is basically a fade effect. So you've got instant, crossfade, push, and swap. My favorite is kind of swap, and I like crossfade. I hate instant. It's just stupid. So this is the reality of your animating possibilities in Hype. If you're wanting to create Flash-like animations with cool effects and all, like color changing and zooming in and out constantly and stuff like that, you're going to need to learn some serious coding. Hype also has a fleeting relationship with HTML5, despite flaunting its HTML5 ness for all and sundry. Yes, you may add video tags to your hyped up projects, and it uses It uses the new doc type declaration at the beginning of your document, but that sadly is where the relationship ends. What Hype actually exports once the project is finished, so basically this stuff, right? This is HTML4, CSS3, and JavaScript. Lots of JavaScript, as I showed you here. This beautiful mess is it's basically verbal diarrhea to me. Um, as such, people wanting to use Hype for their website creations will have a sad surprise when they try to edit their documents. So, people who would like to basically edit the text that they have in their HTML4, sorry, um, they won't be able to, because basically this is basically like gonna place your your Hype document into the HTML page, but the actual Hype document is this. So all of your text, all of your animations, everything is in here. Your text is not HTML code, not code, but it's not like your text is not going to be in this page with like, this website is about blah blah blah. Come to Canada to see the Cirque du Soleil, blah blah blah. It's not that. Your text is going to be in here, and you won't even be able to read it because it's basically like it's vectors. So vectors meaning it's shapes, and shapes, as I showed you before, are somewhere. Where are the shapes? Remember that bit about the line code? Canvas. Where is it? Simplest animation. Remember this? Remember the basic canvas? This? Remember this? Basically, your text is this stuff. So it's vector and it's not editable. This is not really editable. If you edit this, God save your soul, because you might be editing something that will break your document. So basically, what you have to do when you work on a website in Hype is you have to open the Hype document instead of editing straight into the HTML as a normal website is done. If that makes sense. I don't know if it did. If you want more clarification, I'll give you more clarification. But for now, it's basically like your entire website is this. The only reason you have this is so that this shows up in this page. So your script here is basically calling your website itself that you designed in Hype. This HTML coding is basically placing your JavaScript file in your HTML page. I think that explains it better, what I was trying to explain before. Anywho, but yeah, so basically, as such, people wanting to use Hype for their website creations will have a sad surprise when they try to edit their documents. It will look like something out of a horror fucking movie. And riddled with numbers and symbols and letters that make no apparent sense, but which, computers understand. It's basically vector and image calling and stuff like that. That it doesn't make use of HTML5's new semantics is a little bit backwards too, given that useful tags like header, footer, nav, section, article, and more would be very useful for those using the app to create websites. Now, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, because my website, my professional portfolio, does not use these tags, I think, because I'm using WordPress and I'm using a theme, and that theme does not use these tags because my website is built using a what do you call it, a live builder, basically. Anywho, so but those tags would be very useful for those using the app to create websites. That's true. It's not like these tags are like the end all be all of website creation nowadays, but it's the new semantics. You can still use the old semantics like I do on my website, but it's not keeping current. So basically hype is not keeping current. I'm not keeping current. Whatever. I mean, it's not a huge minus, but it's still a minus for many web designers. So basically what I'm trying to say is that hype is not going to create a professionally designed uh, you know, or developed, I mean, a professionally developed website. God, that's like an insult to myself. Anyways, now let's delve more into that issue, shall we? This is part of the reason why I don't understand that people actually do use hype to create full-fledged websites. I really don't. Sure, they can be visually be created very quickly and WYSIWYG for the actual win, but that is, and what you see is what you get, right? But that aside, the coding hype spits back is at best something that should be used for one-off projects. So like, like a one-page document. Sure, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt if you use hype to create like a one-page document for your website. Sure. But not for the entire website. So if you're going to create a project like like a school project on for your portfolio, you put that into your website, that's it. It's not going to be like your entire website is built using hype. That's what I don't understand. Imagine you'll have to re-export the entire file slash website every time you make a small edit. So every time you edit your text, you'll have to re-export because like your entire website is like back in the day when people were creating entire Flash websites. You have to re-export the entire thing. Can you say time sync? To top it all off, there are more problems to pick at. No web workers. Now, this is stuff that I don't fully understand. So web workers, let's go to that link because I don't remember what that is. When executing scripts in an HTML page, the page becomes unresponsive until the script is finished. Okay, so basically, I guess if you have problems with your scripts, with your with your document, basically it's going to like it's unresponsive. So your page will become you know how sometimes if you have a page that doesn't load and it'll pop like if you're in Chrome it'll pop a little window that says page has become unresponsive. Kill it or wait. That's basically what's going to happen to your hype document or your hype website. So if you don't have a web worker, like your website, your file won't load. No, sorry, no local data storage. So what does that mean? I can't remember what that is. With okay, so like no cookies basically. So with local storage, web applications can store data locally within the user's browser. So kind of like unlike cookies. Okay, before HTML5, application data had to be stored in cookies. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of like cookies, included in every server request. Local storage is more secure, and a large amounts of data can be stored locally without affecting website performance. Unlike cookies, the storage limit is far larger, at least 5 megabytes, and information is never transferred to the server. So it's not server cookies, it's browser cookies, basically. Local storage is per origin, per domain and protocol. All pages from one origin can store and access the same data. So like I said, it's kind of like cookies. And no history API. In other words, no back buttons. So what does that mean? What that means, basically, you can't move forward and backwards like using these little arrows here in the corner. So you can't like, if you're in a entire hype website, you won't be able to like use the browser's history because that won't be stored. So let's say basically that website, the person who uses a hype website has to create not even like you can't even use history. So basically the person who designs your website has to create forward and back buttons, but they're not like they're not using the browser's history. So let's say you were in a page called, say, add-ons. Whoops. You were in a page called add-ons and you want to go back. Well, you won't be able to go back using this because this will be blank. This will be exactly like this. There's no forward page here. So there won't be a backwards page because it's like Flash websites where the entire website was one page. If you understand what I mean. So like the person who's creating the Hype website will have like a back button, but it's their perception of the back button. So they'll be like, just go home. There won't be a back button. It'll just be like, go home. There won't be a history, if that makes sense. This means no complex web experience, the kind that we take for granted now. So, like, now I could go back to this page. I could go back to this, hi at medium.com. No, there won't be that history. It'll just be like, the person who designed your website will be just like, I want you to go to this page. There's no back and forwards. Blah, 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 unless you know complex JavaScript. So I think there is a workaround the no history API, but it's very complex. I remember reading about it and I was like, my brain exploded a bit and I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to read more of this shit. Blah, 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 where was I? Here. Ooh. This defeats the purpose of Hype's original plan to make a WYSIWYG developer for graphic designers who don't know or don't have the time to create complex HTML animations. So if you want to create a website, I would recommend using Edge instead. Instead of using Hype, use something that actually, or Dreamweaver even, use something that actually can use your history API, that can store local data, that can use web workers. Because Hype doesn't. Hype is more for like small projects. So like say an infographic that shows you information about something you want to show the world, not a website. I don't recommend you to use Hype for a website. Bottom line. The last major caveat I can think of is that even the minimized JavaScript file on the most simple animations is a large script. So this is a huge file. There's more. There's a lot more that I could have shown you in this image, but I didn't want to scare people. Let's go back here. Yeah, it can come up to 100 kilobytes, which, for most people, it really doesn't matter. But some people want to save their data. Like if if your website is a Hype website, the people that are going to be viewing your website on mobile are going to use quite a bit of data. I mean, on my phone, I have 750 megabytes of data every month. I mean, this seems like nothing, but it's using a lot, even for a very simple animation. My La Presse Plus, right? So La Presse Plus, my documents that I make for this app. Hang on. Plus, there. So, let's say they have coup de cœur. I should show you this in English. Favorites. No? Oh, that's why. I guess. No? Fuck you. Ad block. All right, exclude. There we go. So these ads, they can come up to like 400K, which, still in this day and age where data is more and more available, like we're not running on fucking modems anymore, but shit, Anyways, so all that to say, it's creating for something very, very simple. It's creating at least 100 kilobytes. Imagine a large website. The main problem with a single file large website is that this single file is served to users reviewing your website, whether they're going to view all the pages or not, and whether their browser needs all of the information contained therein. So like IE workarounds and stuff like that. What this means is that basically when if your entire website is a Hype file, then the entire file loads for people who are going to your website. So even if they're not going to view like the about page or the contact us page or the gallery page, the entire file, the entire website is loaded when they load that page. So it's fucking huge. So, you know, at least 100K is a very small animation. Imagine a large website. It could be like fucking 1K, you know? Sorry, one it could let's be honest, it could be like around 1,000 megabytes. At least it could be about 1,000 megabytes, or 2 gigs at even. Like my website, I think I'm using 6 gigs for my personal website. So the entire 6 gigs is loaded. That's like a fucking movie. That's like a fucking movie size. 6 gigs. The entire website is loaded at once. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. The size of a fucking movie is loaded when you're loading that page. Fucking hell, right? Anyways, so this large file will be quite the drag on your servers, your server, first of all, and slow down their viewing experience. So they have to load the entire fucking 6 gig website when they visit your one page. Fucking hell! This is why I recommend not to use Tumult Hype if you're setting out to create a website. So bottom line, Hype is an excellent tool for those new to the world of online. I mean, a lot of people will actually make the argument that you can create different Hype files for each page. Sure. What's the point then? What's the fucking point of creating different files for each? Like, might as well just use Dreamweaver for fuck's sake, you know? Yeah. Or Edge, even, because Edge actually gives you a lot of animation tools, I think, if I remember correctly. So, bottom line, Hype is an excellent tool for those new to the world of online animation, granted. But for those who may want a robust tool with Flash-like features and actual HTML5 content, you're probably going to be sorely disappointed. Like, the animation features are not as rich as Flash used to be. That said, like for that, you should go to Animate CC. Just saying. That said, give Hype a try. It's easy to use. I think they have a free trial of 14 days. You might as well try it if you're interested. The interface is familiar for Flash aficionados, and you can create some nice looking projects fairly quickly. But it also has its drawbacks. That's all I'm going to say. What do you think about Hype? Have you used it? Are you a hobbyist or a professional? Have more to say? Let me know in the comments. So, there you have it, guys. I just gave you an introduction Hype, like to this. So let me know if you guys try it. As I said in the text over there. Let me know if you use it. I don't have it on this computer because it's a PC, so I can't use it on my PC. But I've been playing around with it, and I think it's very good for the ads that I do for La Presse Plus. But it's it's kind of, sometimes I feel like I would be better served using probably Animate CC for my ads in La Presse Plus. Like the actual animating features, the animating styles would be better in Animate CC than in Hype. But this company prefers using Hype. So I can't do anything about it. Anywho, I'll leave you with this. And I hope it was interesting or informative. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know if you want me to give you more insight into my design, creating stuff, life. And see you next time.